Hey guys, it's Kat and I'm back today to try some Lisa Eldridge products. So these are some new products and one old product. I've never tried Lisa Eldridge. I like Lisa Eldridge. I follow her channel. I like her videos. And I've heard great things about her makeup. The reason why I haven't bought any in the past, there's probably two reasons. One, they sell out pretty fast, and two, they've always been high-end lipsticks, and I'm a sucker for a high-end lipstick. But I have so many lipsticks that I'll sort of like analysis paralysis. Which ones do I need? Do I have dupes for? What do I... Blah. So whenever I have looked, I've added things to the cart and then like stepped away. But recently, Lisa released liquid highlighters and liquid blushes. And Hayley, who's my friend who has a channel, we also do beauty news together. She was like, I'm going to stay up and order some. Do you want me to add anything to the cart for you? And I was like, if you're going to stay up and do the hard work, yes. Count me in. I want a highlighter, I want a blush, and I want 2 lipsticks. One sold out too fast, so I didn't end up getting it. So I've got Velvet Morning, which is an orange toned red, and this has been around for a little while. Then I've got the Enlivening blush in the shade Pink Soap, and the Elevated Glow. This is a liquid highlighter in Crystal Nebula. Because I've never tried these before, I thought I'll just talk about the packaging and my sort of impression of it first. The packaging, like the boxes, are white cardboard with gold detailing. I like the font. I like the logo. I think it looks quite classy, but nothing like over packaged. You don't think that they've put all the money in the packaging, which is good because I'd prefer nice formula over nice packaging. The products are mainly gold. So the lipstick is like a gold tube. The liquid highlighter is clear frosted glass. So it is quite heavy. It is glass and it's got this gold lid to it. And this is a doe foot applicator. So I'll show you in a second. It's quite a large doe foot applicator. And then the blush is in a white tube with gold writing. And it's got a little peek through plastic bit. So you can see, if you've got multiple shades, you can see which shade you're reaching for without having to look at the name, which is handy. One thing I did want to point out about the highlighter when it comes to packaging. So again, like I said, I like the products to be more impressive than the packaging, but I also feel like when you're paying these prices for products, the packaging shouldn't be crap. It should work, it should look good. But one thing that's a little bit disappointing about this is the writing on the glass. It's already looking like the gold is starting to come off, and I have seen online that a few people have thrown this in like their makeup bag, for example, and only after a day or two the writing starts to wear off. So the printing is not the highest quality. So yeah, that's an observation. So historically, I have always shied away from liquid or cream face products because I do have oily skin. Now, probably in the last couple of years, I have delved into some cream bronzers, really like them. I have sort of delved into these sort of serum blushes from M Cosmetics. These do leave a bit of tackiness to the skin, so it almost feels like you've got a light layer of lip gloss or gloss on your face, but it gives the most gorgeous effect. So I do see the benefit, even if I've got oily skin, I do see the benefit of using cream products. I feel like you just have to be really careful with how you apply them. Now, I think if you have dry skin and you're not that kind of person that needs to powder their base, or you like a really dewy, hydrating foundation, cream products will be your best friend and you'll love them. But as I'm going to be applying them today, if people are thinking that I'm applying them in like a weird way or not how they would normally do it, just be aware that because I do have oilier skin and because I do use more mattifying base products, you sort of have to be a little bit more careful with cream products because they can lift your base and make your foundation look splotchy, which is not nice. So the best way I've learnt over the years to apply cream products. And I am lucky in a sense that I get oily in my T-zone. So my forehead through to my nose and chin all get really oily, but the sides of my face are normal. So if you've got really oily skin, you're oily all over, I would say avoid cream products. Not only will it make you look greasier than you already are, but also your oils will break it down and it will sort of melt off your face a lot faster. So what I tend to do and what I've done today is I've put a base on and I have powdered just down the T-zone. So this is not powdered at all. It does feel quite set because it was a foundation that does sort of set down by itself without powder. So this is quite set, but at the same time, it's not matte and really powdery dry. The other thing that I find works best when applying these types of products is to either use your fingers or to use a sponge. I do find sometimes using a buffing brush or a stippling brush tends to agitate the base a lot more. So that's, I'll play around with different techniques. I do have brushes here. I've got a damp sponge. I've got my fingers. So I'll see what works the best, but I will have to be a little bit more careful just because of my base. So one thing I've noticed about the formula of these just straight away is they're very, very liquidy and very, very runny. So they're less of a cream product and definitely more of a liquid, and they stay wet for quite a long time. So I've got the highlighter here, which gives a beautiful glow to the skin. I really like this color. I think I've picked well. This was actually the lightest shade, and I'll put the shade description on the screen because I don't remember exactly what it is, but it does have a sort of champagne gold sort of vibe to it. So it's not a cool toned, it's not a pinky toned highlighter. It is more of a champagne gold, but it is the fairest highlighter. And the reason I picked this one is because I felt like looking at Lisa Eldridge demonstrate this shade on her own skin on her channel, I thought this one looks probably the most natural on me, and I don't like highlighters that stand out too much. I like things that blend in a little bit. One thing I'm noticing as well is it does feel like it's setting down a little bit. So it's not staying oily or greasy or balmy. It does set down, but it's not, doesn't set down matte, for example, but you can definitely feel that it sets. With the blush, this also feels really wet. And this is sort of half setting. So you can see that by agitating it a little bit, it's looking a bit patchy. Normally I don't like pink blushes. I go for more peachy orange tone blushes, but I went with pink soap because I felt like, again, being the lighter shade, it won't overpower. I don't like the really bold blush look, and I thought this one looked like it blended out to being more natural skin tone for me. And then the lipstick, it's a matte lipstick. It goes on looking really matte. It's a nice vibrant red, which I like. The bullet, I'm not going to get the macro lens out so you can see it, but I might put a photo on the screen. The design of this, or the imprint on it, looks so amazing. It looks like velvet and it looks perfect. There's these little like lines through it that just make everything look divine. It looks really, really good quality, and that's sort of what you want for this price point. All right, one thing I've noticed about this blush is it's very thick, like it's super thick. It's not a runny blush. In comparison, if I want to look at the M Cosmetics Serum Blush, these are fairly thick as well, but they do have a much runnier consistency. So the Lisa Eldridge one is more like a thicker mousse, whereas this one is a lot more thin. So this one, when you do blend it out, it sort of turns into a liquid, but when you're squeezing it out of the tube, it's quite thick. Now I'm going to try to apply this first with my fingers. So I've got a little bit on. I've got no bronzer on today. I just thought, look, let's go the blush. It actually blends really nicely. Again, I haven't set this area of my face, but I am wearing a more matte setting foundation. This is a beautiful shade. It's like a dusty pink, which I don't like vibrant pinks, but dusty pinks I can sort of get behind. This sort of just blends itself. I don't think I've dealt with a blush that blends this easily. I feel like I put that too low. Let's put a little bit more on. Let's just lift my cheeks a little bit. That just blends into the base, and it's not lifting my foundation at all. You can see oils are starting to break through on my face. It is what it is. But this doesn't mess with my base, and it's gorgeous. It's really, like, the benefit of a cream, even on oily skin, is it gives that sort of healthy glow to the face, which I do like. I don't want to get rid of that with my makeup. I just don't want something that disrupts my base or melts away my base, which a lot of balm products do. This one, look at that, it's gorgeous. I do have a natural shine anyway because I've got oily skin, but that just sort of gives a beautiful glow and a nice flush of color to the cheeks. I really like that. All right, now I've picked up a little bit on my Aloe Cosmetics sponge. This is damp, and I just want to see how this applies with a sponge. The reason I would be hesitant to do this, it is lifting my base a little bit more. You're starting to see some of my imperfections peek through because the foundation is being lifted. So I think I would much prefer to just use this with fingers. It works really well, and the mousse consistency that sort of blends into a liquid just glides on your cheeks. But yeah, this is starting, I can see it's looking a bit patchy. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see redness peeking through. Whereas this sort of just looks perfected. This starts to look a bit speckledy, and that's because my foundation's being lifted and the redness of my face is coming through. So on my skin, I'm just going to use this with my fingers. All right, you can actually see it a lot better in this video. So this is where the blush was lifting from applying it with a sponge, and this is where it kept the base looking nice. So this is what I talk about. This is only a light amount of lifting. When I've tried other sort of balmy products or cream products in the past, it lifts a lot worse than that, but that is what I don't like about cream products. So definitely fingers keeps your base more intact than the sponge does. It's definitely not as wet look as the M Cosmetics one, so I just put a little bit more of Venetian Rose on my hand. This one looks glossy, like it looks wet. It looks like an oil on your skin. This one is more of a satin sort of sheen, so they are very different. Similar colors though. If you like Venetian Rose, you'll like Pink Soap or Soap Pink, whatever it's called. But this one does, look, it feels a little bit like there's hydration to the skin, but it doesn't feel sticky or tacky like the M Cosmetics one does. So that's sort of the difference there. All right, time for the highlighter. Now I have actually played with this a little bit. I just wanted to see what it was like. One thing I've noticed is the applicator is massive. This is like the Tarte Shape Tape type massive wand, and it's also got a dent in it, so it holds a lot of product, like it's got a dip in the tip. You don't need that much product. I made the mistake yesterday going ... because I thought, oh, it's a big applicator, you need to use a lot. But then when I was blending it out, it goes so far that I had to, like, it came down to my nose. So a tiny bit. You just need to go like tiny dot, maybe that's it, because this spreads really far. So again, I'm going to use it with my fingers on this side. I'm going to try with the sponge on the other, but you can see that this amount, because it's so wet, it really does want to spread. So this is something that, you know, maybe if you wanted to just put all over your face as a base, you can probably, you know, use a few full dots or like a full applicator's worth. But if you just want to do the high points, start with less and then you can definitely build it. Now I'm worried that around here it's going to lift, so I'm just starting to be a little bit more careful, but that gives a beautiful sheen, but it's not as bold as I was sort of expecting. Gives a really healthy shine, which I like, and it was fairly easy to apply, but is it that much different from this? I suppose it is. Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty. I'm just going to see how this goes on the sponge. I'm using the same sponge but the other side, and I'm just putting a bit on the tip. I feel like this is applying a bit better than the blush. I feel like maybe because this is a wetter consistency, the sponge is working really nicely and it's doing a really fast job at it as well. I think maybe with the blush, because it is like a thicker mousse that as you blend it out, it gets wetter. I feel like maybe the sponge needed to work a little bit too hard and that's what was lifting the base, but this applied really nicely with a sponge. So even though the effect is quite similar, I actually prefer the sponge. I think it's just faster, and because this product is so wet, I feel like if you put a little bit on a tip and you just need to use a small amount, you can sort of control it a little bit better. Whereas if you put it directly on the face and use your fingers, you're sort of having to spread out a lot of liquid. Whereas with a sponge, you sort of tap a little bit on, blend that out, and then if you want a little bit more, you can sort of press firmer to get the product out of the sponge. So I feel like you can sort of control it a bit better and control it a little bit more evenly with the sponge. So yeah, even though the blush lifted with a sponge, the highlighter seems to be perfect with it. All right, onto lipstick, and this is Velvet Morning. So it's that orange tone, bright red. I've got 1,001 of these sort of shades, but it's a shade that I reach for quite often, and I did want Velvet Fawn, which is a nude. It looked like the nude that I would reach for on a daily basis, but it was sold out. So I went for the red, and I know this is a safe color, even though it's a dime a dozen kind of shade, but look, it's fun. Oh, that's a nice one. It's really bright. It's moussey, so it's not super creamy. It feels like a matte mousse. It's not thick, which is nice. All right, that's a beautiful lipstick. It's nice and vibrant. It's matte off the get-go. So sometimes matte lipsticks apply a little bit shiny and then they settle down to more of a matte. This is definitely just matte straight up, which is good, and it's a nice vibrant color. So I'll zoom out and I'll let you know what I think about all this on first impressions. All right, so on first impressions, I like all of this. Are they standout products? I would say maybe the blush is. I think the blush is the thing that stands out to me as being the most unique out of the three. The lipstick is gorgeous. It's a nice quality lipstick. It doesn't tug, it doesn't pull, it doesn't feel dry. It feels like a nice lipstick. I've heard they wear really well. I'll have to give like an update after I've actually worn it for a long period of time. But yeah, it's a beautiful color. But to be honest, like the effect I can get from probably 20 other lipsticks that I have in my collection. So the lipstick's nice. It's a solid, good quality lipstick, but I think definitely I'm more impressed by the face products. The highlighter I think looks gorgeous. It's my kind of glow. I want that sort of sheen. I want that sort of glowy effect without that sparkle or without that metallic look, and I think that's what these give. This tone is really, really nice. I think if you had lighter skin but you had very pink skin, this might be a little bit yellow gold looking on you, but sheared out, it looks gorgeous. You also get a lot of product here, so you know, you use the smallest amount, so I feel like unless this dries out or goes bad, this is something that you can buy once and use for years and years of like daily use. Maybe different if you mix it with your foundation or use it under your foundation, you'd be using a lot more of it. I probably would have liked to have seen this with maybe a smaller doe foot applicator because it dispenses so much and you use so little, but I do think the effect is gorgeous. If you do like a really bold highlighter, I probably wouldn't recommend this just simply because I can't imagine this building very well because it is so liquidy. I feel like the more you build it, probably the more it's gonna look a bit patchy or lift your base. But I love the effect of it. So this is a really nice product. I don't regret buying this at all. But on first impressions, I think the blush wins for me. It almost applies itself, which is great because cream blushes can be a little bit more difficult to apply. And I think it gives a really beautiful effect. It's like enough color, but it looks healthy. It sort of looks natural. You can sheer it out. You can sort of build it up. I also really like the packaging for this type of product. You can squeeze out a small amount, apply a little bit, and then sort of build as you go. And it's not going to dry out or, you know, over dispense and waste the product. I do think, you know, as I've said, this applies better with your fingers, but the color is really beautiful. And even on my oily skin and my sort of matte base, this doesn't lift when you use your fingers. It just blends in beautifully and looks flawless. So if I was going to place another order and pick up multiple shades of one of these products, it would definitely be the blush because the blush formula is very nice. And just feeling it after it's been on for a little while, it is a little bit dewy. There's a little bit of moisture to it. It's a little bit tacky, but it's not sticky or you're not worried that your hair is going to stick to it, for example, which is sort of how these feel. All right, so that's my first impressions using Lisa Eldridge products for the first time. I get the hype. I think they're nice products. She's a makeup artist. She does a great job. So, you know, I expected good things from her brand and I wasn't disappointed. So yeah, these are all very nice. I like the look it created. So if you've tried her products, let me know what you think, what your favorite product is, what your favorite shade is. I know a lot of people that watch me love Lisa Eldridge lipsticks and have been recommending them for years now, and I've finally got one. Or if you've never tried Lisa Eldridge, just say hello in the comments and I'll be there replying. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.